Welcome back to Pittsburgh Fashion Week 2020. I'm Gina Vensel with Easy Street Promotions, and I'm here with John Valentine from the downtown CDC. So we're halfway through the week. There's been some amazing films and dance performances and workshops. What do you have for us tonight, John?
Well, first of all, if anyone wants to know why we're in the same clothes, I got to tell you, the people here at CMI will not let us leave. We've been
here for days and days.
Days, and they said even when it's over, they might not let us leave. So we'll see what happens.
We've seen that we're safely social distancing, of course. You know, during the pandemic, we've been, trying to be as safe as possible for Pittsburgh Fashion Week, and we're here at the Center for Media Innovation in downtown Pittsburgh at Point Park University, and we have them as an amazing partner for this year. So it's been great to be here safely with John. But yes, we're here filming day in and day out. So John, we're halfway through the week. Can you tell us what you have in store for us tonight?
Sure. Well, in the afternoon we have Jim Halk.
Okay.
Who's a really great designer. His clothes were in Barney's, Walmart. They're in Korea. He's got so many name stores.
Well, he does fashion shows too. I feel like a bowling alley fashion show. Is that correct?
He did a bowling alley fashion show for last Halloween. And he's planning something for Halloween. And
that's so cool.
I don't know if he's planning it this year because of the pandemic.
Right.
He partners with Diane Withrow. If you know Diane, she's awesome. And Diane's a model, and her and Jim put on this great fashion show. And he's in the afternoon.
Okay.
Jim is just an amazing guy. I mean, talk about someone who lives life to the fullest. He's a kickboxer. He's a surfer. Depending upon what mood I'm in, I either call him Surfer Boy but he's so talented, and he's a tremendous artist. He paints murals. I mean, the guy's amazing. So we filmed this in his, not his, but in a boxing studio. And he did some sparring with the host and showed some of his wares, and it's pretty cool.
Very cool.
So in the evening, we have Shante Thomas, which is another artist alley that you did. Mm-hmm. And Shante is a Pittsburgher who is in Los Angeles. She is an actress, a model, and a musician, and a singer. And she's got a voice that you could not believe. So she's out there and she's getting some work, and I think she's going to be a name you want to remember in the future, Shante Thomas. And
she was a delight. She's a really great personality and just a lot of energy. And, with that passion, I just hope it finds her a lot of success. I mean, you can tell she has the talent.
She has the talent. She has the determination. She's gonna make it. She's good. She's enjoying it now. So, yeah. We have from New York City, the Paul Dell Band. And that, Paul Dell is not a household name in Pittsburgh. But boy, I'll tell you what, you go to Manhattan and he plays, go to New York, go to Westchester County, go to Rockland County, and he packs the house. So, his band rocks, and we're happy that he submitted a music presentation, and we loved it. It was so great. So we think we're going to have a good lineup tonight.
So if you're watching from home, you can watch it from your home computer, you can be on your tablet, you can sync it with your television so you can watch it up on your big screen. These events are all aired online at PGHFW.com. Hi, I'm Gina Vensel with Pittsburgh Fashion Week, and welcome to another episode of Artist Alley. We have with us today, Shante Thomas. How are you, Shante?
Lovely. How are you today?
Doing very well, thank you. I want to appreciate you for joining us today on the episode, and I'm just going to dive right in. Let's let the viewers learn a little bit more about you. Let's get started with where you're from.
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I grew up in the Duquesne area.
And are you still living around Pittsburgh now?
No, I currently live in Los Angeles, but I visit Pittsburgh frequently.
That's great. That bi-coastal back and forth. We love hearing that for sure. So I want to talk with you about your various areas of interest in the industry and where it is that you stand within the industry right now.
Right now, I am an actress, model, and recording artist.
Fantastic. And what makes you want to be a part of Pittsburgh Fashion Week?
I'd like to be a part of, I love being a part of Pittsburgh Fashion Week because Pittsburgh raised me. It molded me and made me. And it took me exploring the outside world to come back and really appreciate the arts in Pittsburgh. So I'm so excited to finally be mature enough to understand what we have in Pittsburgh and come back and be a part of something great.
That's so exciting to hear. You know, I've been born and raised in Pittsburgh myself, and I've seen so many amazing talent leave Pittsburgh and, you know, never come back. But the fact that you're able to still be a part of this while you're exploring, you know, all that the industry has in LA. I love that you're keeping your roots tied to Pittsburgh. So that's really, really awesome. So really, if you want to talk a little bit more about these areas of interest, you know, how did you get started in all of this? Like, what was your passion and motivation to get into this industry?
Well, my passion and motivation started from a young age. I grew up in a church that was very active in arts, singing and plays, writing, dancing. So it was instilled in me at a very young age to be very creative. And I knew who I was the first time I stepped on a stage. I knew what industry I wanted to be a part of. So that's the direction. That's how I got started. And from there, I went to college and studied more about it. And I work on it continually every day. Now I'm in the industry I'm working.
That's so awesome. That's so great. And, you know, oftentimes we wish if we could go back, we could give some advice to our younger self. Is there something that you wish that you could tell your younger self now, or maybe others that are listening that, you know, are just getting started in the industry?
If I could tell my younger self or any other creative out there who's just getting started or feels a little daunted by the entire task or industry that they're about to take on, I just say that your resilience and persistence is what's going to get you into the door and get you in the rooms that you need to be in. And I think if you continue and stay firm and stay strong in what you want to do, and believe in yourself, you're going to make it.
You have to see it. You have to believe that you're going to make it, right? I mean, you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to try and hope I get a second interview. You're like, no, I'm going to nail this interview. I got this. This is going to be the best audition or the best. I mean, that I truly believe that, you know, you have to feel it inside yourself so deeply and see that you're already going to be there and that you already made it. And that confidence is tricky because I'm sure in this industry, you don't get a yes every time, right?
No,
so you have to be able to have that resilience to get back out there and go to another audition.
Exactly. And keep going and use every experience, whether you count it as a loss or a fail, use every experience as a learning experience to take you to your next level.
That's such good advice. I mean, that's so important. And to just keep going, right? If one audition doesn't work out, then maybe that wasn't the role for you. It's, just keep moving along and then you'll find that right role. And I think it's easier said than done. I'm sure that after a while, when you get some, you're on a good fit for this or that, but really, it's that you have to keep those. It's a numbers game too. How many different people did you meet? How many different auditions did you get to attend? And hopefully through that, you meet somebody that invites you to something else that if you wouldn't have taken that one audition, you might not meet that right person. So I completely agree with that. That's awesome. We have so many people in Pittsburgh that are doing great things, small business owners, different folks in the industry. Is there anyone that you're looking towards that you look up to or that you feel maybe deserves a little bit more recognition that's from the Pittsburgh area?
Oh, the list goes on and on. There are so many talented people in Pittsburgh. In terms of music, there's Latia and Latasha Marie from EFB. Latasha Marie is also a designer. There's producers Jay Marsh and Zeno. And there's also a couple brands I like to give an honorable mention to. One being Bottom of the Barrel, which has a great message of even those from the bottom can even have great things that they can provide to the world. And then another athletic clothing brand is Whatever the Challenge, Don't Quit. It is a mouthful, but they have a lot of great apparel that speaks directly to people's hearts. And it's very motivating and very, very inspirational. So those are a few people that come to mind.
That's great. And I would definitely encourage everybody listening to go online and search because, this is the way that we really grow our industry is supporting those from within and really being able to support one another. So just to kind of wrap it up and to think about, where things are moving forward for you, if we were to say like, what's that 3 or 5 year plan for you, that goal, like where you see yourself wanting to be, in 3 to 5 years? What would that look like for you?
Well, 3 to 5 years. Well, within this year, I will be releasing my first EP. So please keep a lookout for that. But in 3 to 5 years, I also like to see myself as a recurring role, having a recurring role on TV or lead in a featured film. And it's my biggest dream to be featured in a Marvel movie. So,
oh, that would be so fantastic. And you heard it here, folks, guys, because if this, when this happens and Shante makes it, you heard it right here on Pittsburgh Fashion Week. So thank you so much. And then, so for folks that would want to follow you in your journey and keep posted on all the amazing things that you're doing and see what's happening, how can they follow you or keep in touch with you moving forward?
Sure, you can follow me on Instagram. Just search Shante Thomas 10, as well as you can also search on Facebook for Shante, Shante. There is a pronunciation mark over the E.
Awesome. Well, it's been my pleasure to get to meet you today, Shante. I can just tell from just getting to know you that you are going to be successful in everything that you do. And I will certainly be following you on Instagram and keeping an eye out for that EP. I can't wait to take a listen, and we'll make sure that we're able to share that out to the Pittsburgh Fashion Week community. And I want to thank you again for your time, and thank all of you for listening, and thank you for being a part of Pittsburgh Fashion Week. And you can learn more about everything Pittsburgh Fashion Week at PGHFW.com.
Little woman in the street, seller, up and by the phone. Little woman in the street, seller, up and by the phone. Little woman in the street, seller, up and by the phone. Little woman in the street, wait a minute,
Shake it, bring it, shake it, bring it, shake it, bring it, shake it, bring it. When I'm on the floor, I'm gonna shake it. When I'm on the floor, I'm gonna shake it. When I'm on the floor and they ask for more, best believe I'm sure to bring it. From the break of dawn to the early morning, on and on, it goes on and on. And when I'm on the floor and they ask for more, best believe I'm sure to bring it. From the break of dawn to the early morning, on and on, it goes on and on. And when I'm on the floor and they ask for more, best believe I'm sure to bring it. From the break of dawn to the early morning, on and on, it goes on and on. And when I'm on the floor and they ask for more, best believe I'm sure to bring it. From the break of dawn to the early morning, on and on, it goes on and on. And when I'm on the floor, I'm gonna shake it. And when they ask for more, I'm gonna bring it, bring it, bring it, bring it, bring it, shake it, bring it, shake it, bring it, bring it, bring it.
Walk for me, 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 serve, walk for me, serve. Walk for me, serve. Walk for me, walk for me. Walk for me, serve. Walk for me, serve. Walk for me, serve. Walk for me, walk for me. 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 walk for me, 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 walk for me. Bring it to the runway. Bring it to the runway.
To the sound, move your body to the sound, move your body, move your body, move your body to the sound, move your body to the sound, move your body to the sound, move your body, move your body, move your body to the sound, move your body to the sound, move your body to the sound, move your body, move your body,
Hello, everyone. I am Lisa Washington from KDKA News, and I'd like to welcome you to How Small Cities Compete in Fashion. So glad that you are able to be a part of Pittsburgh Fashion Week. And to get our panel discussion started, I'd like to have our panelists introduce themselves to you and share with us a little about their background and their love for fashion. Sharon Nixon, you'll go first.
Hi, I'm Sharon Nixon from Baltimore, representing Baltimore Fashion Week, and I am a die love for fashion. I used to be a model, and then when I got tired of that, I decided to jump into the production world, and I love it. So here I am. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you here. Thomas.
Hey, yeah, Thomas McClure. I am the founder and executive director of the Columbus Fashion Council with our flagship program, Fashion Week Columbus, which turned 10 last year. And yeah, I've been part of the industry. I started in the modeling industry as a talent agent, or as a model, and then a talent agent, and then a director, and then decided to start Fashion Week here in Columbus, Ohio. Here we are today.
Wow, so we have a group of models in this. I love it. And last but certainly not least, Justice.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justice, and I'm representing Colorado Fashion Week. And a little bit about my background is I started out in modeling. I was scouted whilst I was a student at NYU, standing in the financial aid office. And I was asked to go see a woman and supermodel Tyson Beckford's mom was the person I was asked to go see. She introduced me to it. And then one thing led to the other. I moved to Colorado to go to grad school. And after grad school, I couldn't find a job. So my entrepreneurial spirit kicked in, and then I saw a huge opportunity. So I decided to help create opportunities in Colorado, and that's how Colorado Fashion Week came about.
Excellent. Justice, thank you so much. So I'll start with you, actually. And I guess the biggest question is, how important is fashion, especially in smaller cities and parts of the country that we don't normally think of as fashion hubs? You all are from tremendous cities and states, but you're not from New York or LA. How important is fashion in smaller cities?
Thank you. That's a beautiful question, Lisa. For me, fashion has always been like an armor. I've always used fashion as a kid. I was a very shy kid, but for some reason, it was only when I did dress up that I felt that sense of quiet confidence. And my mom, growing up, was an international businesswoman. I grew up in Ghana, West Africa. And that ability to be able to introduce the rest of the world to me through fashion was something that I really, really appreciated. And when I moved to Colorado, the idea was to never start a fashion week over there. But for me, it was the opportunity. I started out, my background is in theater and performance, and it started simply by a boutique asking me to produce a fashion show for them to launch their store. And after that, I had a handful of models that were looking at me that we had so much fun. So I decided to try to create jobs for them. And in order to create jobs, it was a question of, okay, I could start a magazine or start a modeling agency. But then I started thinking bigger. I'm like, okay, if I start a fashion week, then it will help power all the respective industries. Talent agency, the hospitality industry. It also helped put Colorado on the map. So that became the driving principle. And I got a lot of pushback, and people had this whole idea that Colorado is a cow country, Denver is a cow town. Nobody cares about fashion, but I saw that as my greatest opportunity yet. And I just jumped in it. And then after we became successful, we started seeing all these competitors coming. But that was the whole point. I initially intentionally wanted to do this to spark competition. And that's how it came about.
I love that optimism. What a great story. And Thomas, I see you nodding. How do you make fashion relevant in the Midwest? You're in Columbus, Ohio.
So Columbus, Ohio in itself, we are ranked number 3 in the nation for the number of fashion designers that we have here. It's New York, LA, Columbus, which is great. That city came out in 2012. I believe The Atlantic actually put that out. And since then, I mean, it's true. You know, I've worked with so many designers over the last 10 years, independent designers, you know. So, you know, in Columbus, Ohio, you know, we had that same challenge of like, oh, it's cornfields and, you know, cows and whatnot when I first moved here in 2005. And since, you know, creating Fashion Week Columbus, and, you know, as a nonprofit organization with a board and a bunch of volunteers and committee leads and, you know, just meeting all the industry people such as hairstylists and makeup artists and, you know, the designers, the models and the agencies, you know, there's a huge industry here. And, you know, making it relevant in Columbus, Ohio, I mean, we're kind of, you know, known as third in the nation for fashion designers, and we go with it every single time. You know, throughout the last 10 years, you know, working with different designers, we also bring in, you know, major celebrity designers too, like Christian Cowan was our headline designer last year, who's well known in the industry. And, you know, when they come to Columbus, you know, they have this amazing experience and they leave back to New York or LA or London, wherever they're, you know, they're at, and they talk about Columbus. And I think, you know, to me, that's an organic way of, you know, putting Columbus on the map, also just getting the message and our mission out there, you know, as a nonprofit organization.
Selling that brand as best you can. You can never overdo that. Now, Sharon, we can't all be models, of course. Talk about the importance of Fashion Week in any city. What does Fashion Week mean? One, to a model, and then for those of us who aren't models but like fashion.
So for me, it was a passion of mine to change the way people viewed fashion here in Baltimore. Being a model, I saw the back end of how things ran, and then I saw front of house. So when I went to New York for my very first Fashion Week experience in 2005, I said, oh, you know what, we can do this in Baltimore. So I found my mentor and we just ran with it. And next year we'll be celebrating our 13th and 14th season, because we didn't do it this year because the COVID numbers spiked. So we decided to reschedule it until next year. And we have, so far we are carrying over 6 designers from this year to next year. And we already have 20 people registered to showcase next year. But it is key, especially for a city like Baltimore, to be able to project its own style of fashion, because we're so close to New York, and we have to stand on our own. And so that was my main preface when I started Baltimore Fashion Week, so that we could stand out and we would be known, which we are, because we were in Southern Living magazine as a Southern Fashion Week to attend, which was so awesome. And that really set home with me that we were on the right track of doing things here. So but any city, it's important that if you have a fashion presence there, you have to create the elevation so others can see it and be a part of it as well.
Thank you. Well, speaking of presence, if we weren't in the midst of a pandemic, we would probably all be sitting on a beautiful stage here in Pittsburgh talking about and seeing fashion. But of course, we are in the middle of this pandemic. Tell me what it's been like for you, and I'll start with you, Thomas, shifting to a virtual platform for fashion. You know, some people aren't dressing the way that they did pre-COVID. How has that affected the industry and your work?
So, shifting is what we've all had to do this year, right? I mean, even the major fashion weeks, London, Paris, and we're all learning from each other, you know, and I look at them and I want to, you know, London Fashion Week and Paris Fashion Week and what they've done. And I think they were a little bit ahead of their time when they were doing some digital stuff earlier this year. But we're taking cues from them. We're taking cues, we're learning lessons. And for Fashion Week Columbus, you know, the way our Fashion Week works is we have partnered events, runway shows throughout the week. And then we sponsor our own major shows, such as the finale runway show at the end of the week. And that will be, the finale runway show will be a hybrid in-person and virtual fashion event. It is our first virtual fashion event. But something that we have to keep in mind when we're doing a virtual event is we have to engage our audiences, because they're not really going to be in your audience. They're going to be at home on their laptop, on their cell phones, hopefully watching on their TV if they can, like, you know, cast it to the TV. And it's not about just sending clothes up and down the runway now. It's about the story. It's about, you know, the backstage. It's about the designers. And that's how you keep your audiences engaged. I will say this, you did ask another question. Part of that question was, how has the industry shifted? I know for our fashion designers that we work with, who aren't making gowns or couture gowns for any events or any celebrities this year because everything's canceled, they've shifted to making masks, and now, which is a necessity. But now I was saying this to someone today. I was like, it's no longer about the shoes. It's about the mask. Who designed your mask? And there's a great opportunity there because we all need masks and we all have to get new masks. We can't just wear the same mask over and over and over because they wear out, like your favorite t-shirt. So, that's how I've seen some designers shift. And other designers I've talked to, like some of the celebrity designers I mentioned earlier, they're moving away from the couture and into more ready to wear. What can you wear just to the gym or to the grocery store or in your house, work from home on a Zoom call, so that's the shift I've been seeing.
Wonderful. And I think you're correct. I was just saying to someone today, I need more masks, although I still love my shoes, I have to admit. But to me, just listening to what you're saying, Thomas, and I'll ask this to you, Justice, because you had such an entrepreneurial spirit when you moved to Colorado. In my mind, being in this pandemic and having everything being virtual, this sounds like more of an opportunity to present fashion to those who might not previously have been involved or had the time to be a part of a fashion week. So for those newbies who are just getting into this or who just happen to find us here in the virtual world, explain what Fashion Week is and what that means, why it's such a big deal in any city.
Thank you, Lisa. For me, fashion is such a big economic impact. The global fashion apparel industry is a $1.5 to $8 trillion industry.
Wow.
Right? The US alone is 250 billion to 280 billion industry. So when you look at that and you say, you take like what Tony is doing, what Sharon is doing, and say, okay, I really want to do everything I can for Columbus to succeed, right? Because if they do, and if even they get 1% of that market share, Lisa, just think about it. And that's how I've always thought. And this brings into question why is my fashion week named after the state as opposed to a city? It was a strategic move because I spent 2 years prior doing R&D and organizing town halls, trying to bring the community together. And I realized that people did not see fashion as an economic actor. They just saw it as something frivolous and they were just feeding more into the stereotype. So I believe that the best way to sometimes make an impact is to show as opposed to tell. So I found myself for 2 years telling them how amazing it was and how important. I was begging the city to put their weight behind it. I went to New York Fashion Week. I talked to Fran Mallers, who is the original organizers of started New York Fashion Week. And she was very, very incredible in her mentorship and in her guidance. She invited me to come to New York Fashion Week. She took me to the shows. I met Bill Blass and all of that. And I took all of that and I adapted it to Colorado. And I said, okay, instead of doing Boulder or Aspen or Grand Junction Fashion Week, I'm going to go for the state. And by so doing, my hope is that I will spark these elements of competition. And lo and behold, as soon as we did that, Lisa, we saw a bunch of them pop up. And then we gently, strategically started letting go of the reins because we saw this influx of passion, of talent, but it wasn't focused. And we figured that if we started, right, it will lead to something else. And that's what we did. And just to add to that whole element of entrepreneurship and to underscore what Sharon and Tony has said, my thing was this. We started talking a lot, and last night I was reading on Tony and a lot of the stuff he's doing with the council and the alliance and in the initiative. We spent a lot of time talking to the designers, and we saw the number one problem was lack of access to capital. Because you have these incredible talented creatives, but in a market like Colorado, they will do that, but they didn't have that capital to be able to take it to the next level. When I go to New York City to talk to buyers and editors to try to come, those were some of the things. So in 2014, we made a difficult decision to strategically move away from the runway presentations and guide the designers to invest that money in the business side of the business, because we figured that that is the foundation, that is the spine of their business. And
having investors is certainly great, for sure. So now let's talk about competition. And Sharon, you said something that I thought was interesting, in that you're from Baltimore, not very far from New York, but you wanted to make sure when you brought fashion and opened it up in Baltimore that it was unique to Baltimore. How important is it for the Baltimores, the Columbuses, the Colorados to share their own stories, to find their own unique way of presenting fashion and even a fashion week?
I think it's key that you don't alienate the cities around you. And I say that because we have designers that participate in our event that are local, national, and international. And it's key that although Baltimore is its own little, I guess, growing fashion hub, you may say, and we're a fashion week here, we also implement some of the ideas that the other panelists have mentioned with our foundation, because we're part of the Fashion Umbrella Foundation and we're a teaching organization. So, part of being a part of this event is more than just showcasing. It's more of an educational trait. Although I'm in Baltimore, with me being in Baltimore and going to New York a lot, I've built my colleagues there. And so I can reach into New York if I need that assistance and grab it. If it's a certain thing that I don't know, they're willing to help us. Before, and I think it's okay to say this, I think before Fashion Week came about, it was more of a separation. And so my whole thing with Baltimore Fashion Week was to fill that gap and to bring everyone together from mainly New York, because they are who they are. So you have New York, LA, Milan, Paris, all of them are the grandparents of fashion. And so in our production stages and what we do, I look to them for guidance. I email the ones that I can't call because of time difference. But it's important, if you are a small fashion week, to not stay in your hometown, but to expand your reach, because you will need them eventually. And they're a good resource. Like, I have a lot of colleagues that are in Boston as well that are, I call them like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Or have you ever thought about this? Because I'm known for doing stuff outside the box. But being outside the box, although, we made it to year 10, that was really huge. It was huge for me that, we were able to have that longevity here in Baltimore for 10 years, going on 13 now, 13 and 14.
That is a long time, certainly, and you should be commended for that. Give yourself a pat on the back, because you deserve it.
Right now.
And it sounds like, listening to Sharon Thomas, it sounds like you have to be strategic. So I'm going to put you on the spot here and tell us about some of the strategies in Fashion Week and keeping it vibrant and alive in Columbus.
Well, with Fashion Week Columbus, as one of our programs, our largest program, it too it's a program. So it is almost, we call it kind of almost an incubator in a way for our designers, especially for the brands that are just starting, that have so much potential, that just need that launching pad. And that's everything from, the services that we get through, partners that we have, mentorship, also, through resources that we can connect them with. And then marketing and branding, the photography and the video, and all of that is super expensive. And, we charge a very small designer fee because we want our designers to, have a commitment to the platform, to the program, but yet they get so much out of it. I mean, at least $10,000 value with paying under, $1,000, if even that, under a $500 fee. So, that's one of the strategies with Fashion Week Columbus. And then, throughout, the year with the Fashion Council, the Columbus Fashion Council, we create other programs as well that do lift up the fashion community. And I think Sharon had it right as well, not competing with other cities, lifting each other up. And I think even locally, the same thing, because, in Columbus, we have so many different fashion platforms that are known, and we lift each other up. And we have to, because we kind of all share the same models, honestly, all 150 models. And I think we all know what we're talking about, right? And so with lifting each other up is especially important as a strategy, especially now during this pandemic. I think that's the only way through it, is we have to, depend on each other to promote each other and lift each other up. Yeah, that's the strategy. That's my big strategy this year, honestly.
Sounds like a winning strategy. So then let me ask, if I'm a young, hopeful designer who's watching this, and I'm in Pittsburgh or Columbus or Baltimore or in Colorado, what would you recommend? What would you suggest? I mean, you just said that forget the shoes, it's now the mask. Should a potential designer want to think about a mask, or should they say, my dream is to design couture dresses or beautiful, leather shoes? Like what would you recommend or suggest?
You're asking me? I would recommend that the designer really do some soul searching, really figure out what your audience is, really figure out what your market is. I've heard of designers that the ones that go on the Project Runway, they went in with a specific, I create couture gowns, and they came out knowing that they want to create athleisure wear. And that's where their passion was, and that's where their money came from. So I think it really depends the market you're in and the opportunities within that market. But to me, I would tell the designer to really do some soul searching, figure out what you want to make. Because if you make couture dresses right now, I don't know how successful that's going to be right now as far as selling those,
Don't think a lot of people are wearing couture dresses right now. So Justice, then let me ask you, usually in a big project like a fashion week in any city, there's an overarching goal or a message or maybe even a theme. Is that the case this year?
Yes, yes, it is. And our theme for this year is we are also celebrating our 10th year, just like Tony did. So our theme this year is by invitation only. And we picked that theme because we looked at everything that is going on in the world around us. And sometimes I think fashion can feel very exclusive. But my message is that everybody is welcome. So it's a play on the concept of, it's not some sort of an elite class, but it's about fashion is what you make of it and how you perceive it. Fashion is about self-expression, and we are taking that theme to sort of as the span of our virtual programming through town halls, panels, and fireside chats, and so on and so forth. So that's our theme for the year.
By invitation only, I like that. Sharon, do you think that fashion is in some regards exclusive? People hear fashion and they think designer. I have to have $1,000 dress or something that costs an astronomical amount. Is fashion exclusive? And is the pandemic a way to change it if you think it is?
I don't think it's exclusive, but the pandemic has definitely changed the way designers and those that are creatives and artistic and the way they have to survive. So for us here, some of the designers I know, well, a lot of the designers I know here, a lot of them have navigated to the mass, but in the back of their minds, they're still loyal and passionate to that dress they might have created. But right now, everybody's in a creative survival mode, per se. And I think that's what is kind of changing their mindset. But I don't think that it's exclusive to those. Like, if you love fashion, my definition of fashion, if you walk out the house with it, you've set a trend. Like, I don't follow the trends. I wear whatever I want to wear. A lot of people that I know, they think the same way. So that's I guess that's kind of sort of maybe a minute connection between Baltimore and New York, because New York has their own vibe of how they do things. And with Baltimore Fashion Week, like we tend to go outside the box. Like for our 10th year, we had it was all about sneakers. And so that's how we got, at the time, Marie Claire, it pegged their interest because Nina Garcia is a heavy sneakerhead. And I didn't know that at the time until her assistant called me. I'm like, what? So that was pretty cool. And so we used to do themes, but we stopped. I think we stopped for several reasons, but one reason, I just thought that it works for Columbus, it works for Colorado, but it didn't work for us. So now it's just whatever season it is, the year, and Baltimore Fashion Week.
Great, thank you. Thomas, is there a theme or an overarching message for Columbus Fashion Week?
Not really with us, because, our finale show, although we have runway shows throughout the whole week, our finale show is it concludes the whole week. It's our grand finale show. And we have like 5 to 10 designers on the same runway, back to back. And it's really separated by, their interview videos and whatnot. And we're taking advantage of the audience there. So what we try to provide is kind of a blank canvas and let them tell their stories. And that's kind of the theme. We don't want to, ruin that for them. But I will say this, and Sharon, got me thinking about this, that, you talked about fashion, is it exclusive? And fashion could be seen as elitist. And I think something that we've proven to the world this year during the COVID and the shortage of the mask that were needed. And of course, it started with Christian Siriano, stopping all of his production to make masks to meet that need. Even here in Columbus, through the council, the Fashion Council, we created a mask initiative as well, inspired by Christian Siriano, bringing together all of our local designers and even our celebrity designers that we've brought in, along with other businesses and companies that are national and international, to either design masks and donate them to our healthcare facilities and also the military and NASA, who all called, or to have them manufactured by funding it. So we provided, with our partnerships, over 30,000 masks to, Central Ohio facilities and NASA and military branches. And to me, that shows that fashion has a heart. That shows that fashion is not elite. That shows that we are all part of fashion, because we're wearing a mask. And there's no exclusivity to that. We all need a mask, and they can be fashionable or they can be a cloth, but it is part of the fashion industry.
Excellent. And I think the pandemic has taught us all just how much we should take important time to value the things that are most important, and that we all need each other. So then let me ask you then, Thomas, in some ways, and I'm thinking of the mask, but not necessarily, is it competition or is it collaboration? When you're thinking of your fashion weeks, you're creating this, are you in some ways competing with the other cities? Are you competing with Milan and London and New York and Baltimore and Colorado, or is it just collaboration?
I think collaboration, honestly, each, like Sharon mentioned earlier, we're all different markets. What they do in New York, we can't necessarily do in Columbus. Our audience is different here. We don't have the buyers and the media that show up at New York Fashion Week. We have some, we get them to come in, but those New York Fashion Week shows are typically for buyers and media. Here we have our, the clients are the friends and family and the fashionistas that live here, that become clients. And so collaborating with other fashion weeks like Pittsburgh is, I think, key to surviving, this pandemic. And there's no competition that I know of, at least through us.
Excellent. Justice, tell me what we can expect for Colorado Fashion Week.
Yeah, for this year, we're doing a little virtual global tour. We are calling it the Fashion Tour. And I'm doing that because I see opportunities in everything. And so why would you launch a fashion tour in the middle of a pandemic? Why not, right? And in the same spirit that when we were starting out, we were told it's never gonna work. So I just encourage people to be open-minded and open-hearted. How do we know it's not going to work? So let's find out. So this year, that is the theme. I really am interested in, the overarching theme is the economic impact of COVID-19 on the business of fashion. So with that, I want to be able to now have conversations with, and especially with what Tony was saying, to be able to have, he's been doing these mixes that he mentioned yesterday, and I spent a lot of time watching, and so I want to be able to.
I want to know that.
yeah, you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, let me check it out. So I really want to. This year, my goal is collaboration. And I really want to be able to connect with Sharon, everybody, and support each other. And just very quickly, we have also invested heavily in a platform, an e-commerce platform, whereby I want to send an invitation out to my colleagues here, whereby the designers, especially after all of this, they have a home, a marketplace, an editorial marketplace that they can be, their goods can be sold. So that is the vision for this year, to be able to empower designers. Yeah.
Thank you. And don't forget about Pittsburgh, of course. All right, Sharon, what is in store for Baltimore Fashion Week?
Well, it's not till next year.
Okay.
But we're going live because I believe that COVID will still be here next year. And it caught us by surprise this year, but never again. That was a huge decision that I had to make, and it took me 4 days to make it, to not move forward with the event. And so after I got myself together and dried my tears, and I did cry, I just started working on 14. So 14 will be season 14 will be live. We completely changed everything just in case it's still here. We're only allowing front row guests only. Everything else would be will be virtual, to give us times between the designers to clean up. I made a connection with the deputy chief for the health department of environmental services here, because our event is in Baltimore County. So with Baltimore County, and we're working very closely with them. If it spikes, it spikes, but the show will go on. And so that's what I'm working on for next year. But it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. I can't really talk about it. I get excited. But it's going to be so nice because we have to make up for this year. We still have the models. The designers are on deck. One designer is already up to 150 looks. I said, please stop selling. I'm running out of models because for our show, we only do one model per garment. So if you have 150 looks, you need 150 models. We don't recycle within the collection. And I said, then we completely changed the way the designer process happens. So usually it's register, you come to the fitting, and then you tell us who you want. This year we changed it. So it's register, meeting with us, me and the person who's selecting the designers, because it won't be me anymore, thank God. And then you have your go-see. After your go-see, then you tell us who you want. That way the models know ASAP who they're walking for, as opposed to waiting maybe 2 months before the show. So that's how we're doing it moving forward. I'm really excited about that. We have our first virtual meeting on the 17th of September with the designers to explain this to them. So all of the designers who have showcased in the past 12 seasons are invited, and the ones who registered last year that didn't make it, they're invited, and also the ones who have already started registering.
I was just listening to you and I thought of this. In the fashion shows that I've seen, like, a favorite designers that I've watched online, the big ones in London and New York that I don't get tickets to, unfortunately. The shows in your cities, the fashion, when I go, if I were in, Columbus or Baltimore or Colorado, and wow, that's a great look for the average person. And am I able to get that, or am I enjoying the show of seeing the fashion? How does that work?
You've hit on a really good point, Lisa, is if you have someone that comes to a runway show that's not accustomed to how fashion shows work, they think, oh my gosh, that's a size 0 and it's for a 6-foot model on the runway. I can't wear that, which is false, because that is supposed to help inspire what you want to wear. You talk to the designer, even if it's a one-off, talk to the designer, say, hey, can you make that for me in my shape, my size, my height, whatever it is. And that's how it kind of works. And a lot of times, these looks that are put onto the runway inspire that collection to create, if they're going to do a mini manufacturing or whatever, to create different sizes in that same look. So it's an educational process. I know this because of Columbus, Ohio. And we've, which is fine. That's, I think we're educating a lot of people along the way. And the more educated people are about what they're seeing on the runway and why they're seeing it on the runway, through platforms like this one, our call today, this is great. The more educated they are, the better. The better for our industry, the better for the designers that are involved.
Okay, Thomas, you said a word that I was purposely not trying to say during this call, but you said it, so now I'm going to say it, and I'm going to put this back to you, Sharon. Inspire. Is inspired good or bad in fashion?
It can be either or, depending on the person who's looking. So for us, we have models that are petite all the way up to a size 16. We don't go above 16. And they can be 5'4" all the way up to 6'3", for the males and the females. Well, really the females. And so everything that comes down our runway, I see every garment, even though this next year it'll be reviewed by somebody else. I go through every collection. I make sure it's family friendly. Although our models don't wear bras on the runway, I have to make sure that that garment, if it's see-through, what is the model wearing underneath? So because we have, like Thomas said, we have family members that come, and most of our models are younger. They're between the age of 13 to maybe 24. And we do have some models that are much older, but our heavy hitters, the ones that all the designers want, are the younger ones. So we have to be very careful of how we put them on the runway, because usually at our show, we're usually inspiring someone to become a designer. And that's why it's so key for every garment that comes down the runway, it has got to be right. I've been known, and my back of house team has been known to pull a garment if it's not right. So if it's a garment that I didn't see and it's not ready, or not really ready, but if I haven't approved it or my stamp isn't on it, they know, and they'll pull it from the show, because like, you can't put that on the runway. Like, how old is the model that's wearing it? She's 13, she can't wear that.
Sharon,
now, if her mom says she can wear it, then okay, I'm a mother of 3 boys, so 3 men. So, I'm very careful of how, especially the female models, how they come down the runway, because them walking down that runway, although they're a human hanger, they could perceive that as how they're supposed to dress every day. And so you have to be mindful of that, because you reach into the hearts of these individuals, especially the guests that sit on the first 2 rows, because they're the true lovers of fashion. And you have the ones that are inspired or wannabes, usually in general admission. Sometimes, that's not true for everybody, but sometimes, and for what I've learned. And so you just have to be careful of your version or the designer's version of inspiration.
Justice, inspiration, good, bad, in fashion?
I try to live it. Creativity is tricky, and I think creativity is about self-empowerment. And so our process, since we have shifted more to the educational route, I try to be in consult with the designer to really try to understand what's their target demographic, who are they trying to sell to, and then normally we will cast around that for them. And in the process, it's I really admire what Sharon is saying. For me, I think it's about common sense and practicality, and I think Tony and Sharon said it so beautifully. If your inspiration is so over the top that it puts people off, then it's a conversation that I try to have with the artist, with the designer. And it can be an uncomfortable conversation, but what I do know is that it needs to be had. And so I try not to put it as good or bad, but for me, it's about you, the creative, you, the designer. Where are you coming from? where are you trying to get to with this? And then we have a conversation about it. And sometimes I let them make the decision on their own.
Wonderful. Well, I hope that all of you will invite me to your fashion weeks because I really would love to see them. And I know, unfortunately, we can't talk all day, but before we go, I want to get some last words from all of you. Sharon, I will start with you. And my first question is, and you can share, what's the look? What should we be thinking about wearing? Most of us are doing these meetings virtually. Is there a color? Is there a style? Give us some tips on what we should be thinking about.
I think for the virtual meetings that I have a lot, so it's crazy. So when you do virtual meetings or YouTube interviews, you have to engage your audience, especially if you're in the visual like me, and my PR person gets on me all the time. Like I have to, before I even do an interview, I have to make sure I don't wear the same thing twice within the same row of videos. It's crazy. But my take on fashion, it's always been the same. If it makes you happy, wear it. You can find me any day during the week when I'm not doing a platform like this in a pair of Converses. Pick the color, I'm probably wearing it. I wear t-shirts all the time. I make t-shirts with my Cricut. So I think fashion, whatever the trend is, if your heart says wear it, you need to wear it. I think sometimes people get caught up in trends, and when they get caught up in trends, then they tend to go down this rabbit hole that sometimes they can't get back out of. And so if you learn how to master the art of creativity and connection with what's in your closet, then you can set your own trend and you don't have to worry about what everybody else does.
Be yourself. Okay, Justice, what do you think?
Our theme in terms of trend is seasonless. And it came about after my team and I discussed, like, as Tony was saying, the entire fashion calendar and everything has been scratched and meshed together. And I think in order for designers to be able to survive economically, you got to think beyond seasons. You got to think beyond collections. So we actually we created a whole show that we want to debut in 2021 called Seasonless. So for me, the trend this year and moving forward is like a seasonless look, so that economically it helps to be able to empower the designers and customers and consumers to be able to think that, oh, is it in trend? Is it in trend? Is it out of trend? We want to be able to offset that. So.
I think that is definitely a fashion first. I've never heard seasonless with fashion. Okay, Thomas, I'll let you have the last word.
Well, when in doubt, wear black. I mean, that's just a classic, right? It's a given. Right. I don't have to say that, but I will say this. Try to support your local designers as much as possible, and your local boutiques and your local stores. I mean, even if it's your local Macy's, because that Macy's employs a lot of people that are from your community. But your local designers especially, I mean, that's our mission of Fashion Week Columbus and the Columbus Fashion Council. We're trying to not only spotlight these designers and give them a platform, but we've got to support them through buying from them. You know, whether it's a mask, whether it's a shirt, whether it's a tie, whatever it is, I say make it local.
Excellent. Sharon Nixon, Thomas McClure. Justice, I apologize, I didn't get your last name. What's your last name, Justice?
Justice Quatin.
Quatin, excellent. Well, my thanks to all of you. I really have enjoyed this conversation with you. You have me excited about fashion. I can be seasonless, I can be myself, and when in doubt, I can wear black. Thanks so much to all of you. I'm so happy that you were able to share your stories and your advice and experience with the audience who will be watching this. And best of luck to all of you in your upcoming fashion weeks. I know that they will all be a success.
Yeah, and same for Fashion Week, for Pittsburgh Fashion Week. Good luck, and
yes,
thank you for having me.
This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank
you so much for having us, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Or you're going to take care of me. Yeah, it's basically inspired from when I was a young man and very lonely. Whenever I would partake in alcohol, I'd get very sentimental, and I would always ask whoever I was with at the time, "Are you going to take care of me? Are you going to take care of me?" And it just bled out into that song. And then other factors came in, and it just morphed and grew, and now it's so apropos for today with what's going on. You know, we all got to take care of each other. So and that's where it's from.
I can say it. The impetus to all that I have done. I only cringe a little, face the fear, embrace the sun. These words that I have said before this time seem to mean more. You're gonna take care of me before I go. Take care of me, I need to know. Holding on to soul's intention. Who am I going to be in the torrent every day that is waiting for me? Every face I see, brothers, sisters, mothers, they're just waiting for me to embrace and feel they hold exactly what I need. Take care of me before I go. Gonna take care of me, I need to know. Fast for the point, but who's keeping slow? Can you see you're better than you were before? Something else, that's for sure. Inspiration it was in I first uttered the hunting phrase, and now it's raised my day. Like a child with you from the beginning, it is blossom and lifted the haze. I am, I can, I will, I need. Look at me, can't you see? The princess, she lives here with me. Oh, you're gonna take care of me before I go. Take care of me, I need to know. Gotta take care of each other, 'cause we're all just sisters and brothers. Yeah, 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 yeah. We're all just sisters and brothers. Know you gotta take care of one another.
Carry Me Brother. That's owed to my brother Charlie, inspired by him. He passed away from a drug overdose, and it's basically about addiction and, you know, the way that people suffer through addiction and the hardship it causes their families. So, Carry Me Brother, that's for Charlie.
Be a fool, there for the grace of God, go wild. Temp by which you live, it's up in your head and it's a lie. Can you sit back, ooh, and give it a try? Can you sit back, ooh, just a step, yeah. Hell, I was there on part of your tale, just as well. Well, I run fast and you, while we fled, you must have failed. Spend your days sipping, tripping in the well. Call it what you will, I know it's your hair. Count me, brother, can you carry me? Yeah. Can you carry me, brother, please? Count me, brother, can you carry me? Yeah. Can you carry me, brother, please? Rest is hard, the rest is mine, it's all the same. Full of fingers, yeah, each one pointing out who's to blame. Screw by discouragement, disappointment, Lord, and some shame. When the smoke clears, do you even know your name? Count me, brother, can you carry me? Yeah, can you carry me, brother, please? Count me, brother, can you carry me? Yeah, can you carry me, brother, please? Say the lights are out in sleeping. Say that now that's just a show. Somebody's weeping behind the door. Wipe the children off the floor. Where's the child that was lost so long ago? To the grass whose eye, the side's the only thing left to grow. Strangled by convention, sentenced to a fate that you deplore. More of what's not now, and it is till it isn't anymore. Count me, brother, count me, yeah. Can you count me, brother, please? Count me, brother, can you count me, yeah. Can you count me, brother, please? Count me, brother, can you count me? Can you count me, brother, please? Count me, brother, can you count me, yeah. Can you count me, brother, please?
Green Light is, I wrote that song about 25 years ago, and it was inspired by, and it's very apropos for today because it was inspired by the little green light on an answering machine and how you're always, you come home and you'd see it and you'd think if that green light was blinking, somebody loved you, that you were happening in the world. And now everybody's on their cell phone, it's the same thing. Everybody can look at their cell phones. Now it's, I think, a blue light more so. But it's like, green light, save me. And there's a lot of other stuff woven into that also, but that was the impetus of the song, was the little green light on the answering machine that would just save you because you knew that you belonged.
Shining in the doorway was so bright. Been so long since I told you how I want to hold you. Tender lines and Street moves, still the night. It's been a long time since I've seen my friend. It's been a long time. If it means you will see me. Though the vengeance nothing gained, it all seems to be the same, darling. Float around your blue sky, on your new shirt you gotta stay. Don't know why you changed, you can't explain it, you just do. Every time that phone rings, yeah, it takes a little piece of me and you. don't know why you do what you do. Every time the bell rings, bells like stones, it got right into you. It's part of the course, things will be lost on your way to something new. A funny way out of you can't see the hate. It's for you. Green light, save me. Headlights don't betray. Green light, save me. Headlights don't betray. Green light, save me. Headlights don't betray. Green light, save me. Headlights don't betray me, baby. Just one more time. Okay, now you're back in line, darling. People know that God was sleeping one night, with one eye. Walking, talking, strutting, yeah, like a cat who ate the canary. It's the same old baby. This time she's gonna get scary. Come on, let's strip down, baby. Get back to where we need to be. Don't rise above human nature, that's good enough for me. The day I speak for all of you, I don't care what you say or what you do. Come on, just be with me. Green light, save me. Headlights on the tree. Green light, save me. Headlights on the tree. Green lights, save me. Headlights on the tree. Green lights, save me. Headlights on the tree, baby. When you're in that world, little too much to notice a girl. It takes more from you than you'll ever know. All of these things so beautifully, they come from within so easily. Someone's watching over me. I see you there eventually. Green light, save me. Headlights on the tree. Green light, save me. Headlights on the tree. Green lights, save me. Headlights on the tree. Green lights, save me. Headlights on the tree. Green light, headlight. Come on, baby, say green light, headlight. Come on, save me. Thank you.
There's begins and ends with me. That's kind of self-explanatory. Everything, my life is completely blessed, and even when it wasn't, I can reflect on it and know that it always was. And everything in this life is a gift, And so it all begins and ends with me. Who am I going to be? The way I conduct my life and how I interact with other people. And that's what, you know, anything good or bad is ultimately my responsibility. So it all begins and ends with me.
Responsible for this thing called my life. And oh, nobody responsible for this thing called my life. Baby says she's leaving, yeah, when she's walking out that door. Baby says she's leaving, yeah, she don't love me anymore. Why, oh why is it always in this way? Why, oh why couldn't she see? Oh, I'm responsible for this thing called my life. And oh, I'm responsible for this thing called my life. It all begins and ends with me. I see it, and it all begins and ends with me. A million opportunities, oh, say it isn't so. Hey, this life's been leaving you, and all you got to say is no. Hey, there's an open window, yeah, well, are you gonna jump? Or do you really love her like you say? Well, are you just giving up? And oh, nobody responsible for this thing called my life. And oh, nobody responsible for this thing called my life. And it all begins and ends with me. I see, and it all begins and ends with me. Hey, what is stopping you? Get out of your way. Hey, what is stopping you? Get out of your way. So you say this life's a drag. You ain't been back again. And oh, nobody responsible for this thing called my life. Oh, nobody responsible for this thing called my life. See, and it all begins and ends with me. See, and it all begins and ends with me. I said, and it all begins and ends with you.
The last song, Thank You, that's my personal mantra for life. Also, you know, reflective of begins and ends with me. Like, I'm creating everything, and everything that comes to me, my beautiful family, my animals, my business, my music, it's all just, it's gratitude. I'm just thankful every moment of every day. Thankful for this video right now. And I hope you enjoy it, and those are the songs.
Upon you, I was instantly humbled by your presence. Flow through me in my darkest moments, full expression and some tenderness. It's what you give to each day. And how you touch me, how you let me bask in your glory. Forget my story. All I wanna see is thank you. All I wanna see is thank you. All that I can say is thank you. All I wanna see is thank you. All these things that I see, and I don't know why will they've come to me. Little those in at my feet, well, I just don't know what to say. And all these things that save my life every day. And you touch me, how you let me bask in your glory. Forget my story. All I wanna say is thank you. All I wanna say is thank you. All I can say is thank you. All I wanna say is thank you. Hang on to the light, it can keep you, oh yeah, through the night. Breathe, live for your soul. It can keep you warm when life gets cold. And I said, ooh, how you touch me, how you let me bask in your glory. Life, so much beauty makes me just want to break down and cry. Put your hands together, this love here don't last forever. I could feel it deep inside. How you touch me, how you let me bask in your glory. Say please thank you. All I wanna say please thank you. All that I can say is thank you. All I wanna say please thank you. All that I wanna sing is, all that I need to sing is, all that I wanna sing is, all that I got to sing is. must be a kind of blind love. I can't see anyone but you. Are the stars out tonight? I don't know if it's cloudy or bright. I only have eyes for the moon may be high, but I can't see a thing in the sky. I only have eyes for I don't know if we're in a garden or on a crowded avenue. You are here, and so am I. Maybe millions of people go by.
How am I supposed to be a famous rock star when all the stars that I can see are the ones in her eyes? How am I supposed to change the world when the only thing I want to change is the expression on her face? She makes it difficult to rule the world, to dominate the land like dinosaurs. She makes it difficult to rule the world. It might be easier to rule just hers. How am I supposed to plan world domination? I'm busy planning our next date. How am I supposed to write the best song ever? I mean, each song keeps getting better, 'cause it's more about her. She makes it difficult to rule the world, to dominate the land like dinosaurs. She makes it difficult to rule the world. It might be easier to rule just hers. I see her difficult to rule the world, to dominate the land like dinosaurs. She makes it difficult to rule